Eiichiro Toyama's Silent Hill series has made its impact on the fans since its debut. With its gripping storyline and interesting yet brutal portrayal of villains, Silent Hill stands out from other horror games that are in the market. Each of the villains portrayed in this horror anthology media has their own backstory, powers, and symbolism. In this video, we will dive deep into the titular Pyramid Head, understand what he is and what he symbolizes, including his powers. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. What is Silent Hill's most notorious character, Pyramid Head? Since his debut in the Silent Hill game series as the Boogeyman, Pyramid Head has made a lot of fans curious about him. So before we go into the more nitty-gritty stuff about him, let's have a quick rundown. The myriad of villains that Silent Hill has is huge, but Pyramid Head stands out in a crowd of villains. That is because he is one of the two villains who have a very clear masculine features. He is a tall, muscular man who is pale and is always dressed in a blood-drenched cloth that looks a lot like a butcher's smock. He has a red triangle helmet covering his face. It is clear from the design of the helmet that it is meant to be painful to wear. With his pale features, the red helmet creates a contrast that is almost dangerous on sight. His weapon of choice is usually the great knife, but sometimes he is seen using a spear too. He wears gloves like most villains of this series, which are partially connected at the fingers, and the early designs show off a strange tattoo on his left shoulder, which we don't get to see in Silent Hill 2. In interviews, the chief artist has explained his thought process behind the creation of Pyramid Head. The red triangle, the most iconic feature of Pyramid Head, is an elaborate executioner's mask, but also an iconography of pain. With such a symbolic character design, Pyramid Head had the full potential to change the understanding of the main character he was following. With that in mind, Silent Hill 2 really shines through with how they use the character. Usually portrayed as the secondary antagonist, Pyramid Head gets his moment to shine in Silent Hill 2. We see him chase our main character, James Sutherland, throughout the game, and Pyramid Head is integral in the whole character arc that James has to go through. Their first meet cute, as horrifying as it is, happens in the woodside apartment. In the dark corridor, James gets chased by Pyramid Head, who is out to kill him. Thanks to the iron bars present, James is able to get away from him. But that parting only lasts for so long because soon enough, James comes across Pyramid Head again as he fights with two mannequins. Pyramid Head kills the mannequins and tries to get to James, who is hiding in a closet. Luckily, this time James had a gun, which he could use to defend himself. The cat and mouse chase between James and Pyramid Head keeps on happening throughout the game. It is clear that this monster is somehow attached to James, personally haunting him down and making James face things he is not willing to accept. As we follow the story, we learn about the death of James's wife, Mary, and it is clear that this is something that affects him a lot. As we progress through the game, at one point James is forced to watch Maria, a woman who looks like Mary, get killed by Pyramid Head, forcing him to come face to face with the death of his wife again. There are subtle implications throughout the game that make it evident that this is not the first time James is seeing Pyramid Head. Could this be his guilt? Could this be a memory that is chasing him down? Well, once he escapes after seeing Maria seemingly die, he comes across a painting in the Silent Hill Historical Society. The painting depicts Pyramid Head standing in front of caged corpses, holding a spear. Under that painting, the words etched are, "Misty days, remains of judgment." This could just be a reference to the history of the town where people were brought to be executed, but a small reaction that the picture elicits out of James makes it seem like he probably saw this picture 3 years ago when he visited the town with Mary. Soon after the revelations hit James, when he sees two Pyramid Heads assault and kill Maria again, he realizes that he is the reason why Pyramid Head is here again. James was so affected by the guilt of his wife's murder, he wanted someone to punish him, and Pyramid Head is the manifestation of his guilt and need for punishment. This acceptance, this revelation, is what helps James defeat the two Pyramid Heads, who eventually kill themselves by committing suicide because James does not need them anymore. With how integral Pyramid Head is to the story arc of James, it is no surprise that most of us fans found ourselves curious to know more about him. So with that being said, let's get on with it. Does he have a face? This is the big question fans have pondered over for years. What is under the helmet? Is it a face? Whose face is it then? Is it someone who we have followed throughout the game or someone completely different? Owing to how the Pyramid Head is the manifestation of guilt and the need for punishment, a lot of people think that perhaps if the Pyramid helmet was gone, they would find James himself under it, otherwise it is a part of him. However, the creator of the Pyramid Head, Masahiro Ito, says otherwise. When he created Pyramid Head, he did not think of giving him a face. face. This lack of face allows Pyramid Head to be left up for interpretation, which is essentially what Ito wanted. Ito wanted his fans to think about the character and understand him in their own ways, and they did. But Ito also insisted that just because his face is hidden does not mean Pyramid Head does not have a face. He is not a big fan of the other James theory that the fans are attached to. It is implied that Ito has seen the face that the helmet conceals, but he has refused to give out any details about the face. So as fans, we know that he has a face, but we do not know what the face is. After the scene in Homecoming, where we see two Pyramid Heads turn Alex Shepard into a boogeyman, fans were sure that perhaps every Pyramid Head shared a similar origin. They were men who were wronged in the past, but Ito shut that down quickly. He made it clear that Pyramid Head was no man. He was simply a creature with a hidden face, out to get our main protagonist and punish him for his sins. Does he have a tongue, or it's just flesh? It is clear from the character design and the general storyline of the game that this game is a psychological ride. Subtle clues about the delusions and the nature of the monster are always present right in front of our faces. But just like James, we are blind to them. One such example is the tongue of the Pyramid Head. If you take a moment to look at the helmet that he wears, you will see that the front of the helmet is made of an iron plate. Underneath this iron plate, this tongue-like appendage comes out whenever he is attacking James or other characters. Now, this is where it gets confusing. If you look at the game very carefully, you will see that the iron plate seemingly bends up, which allows the tongue to slither out, but the iron does not bend. This is a subtle sign that Ito left about this whole thing, which is a delusion that James is suffering from. If we go by this theory, then the nature of this tongue or tongue-like appendage really becomes irrelevant because it is a part of James's delusions. It does not have to make any sense. Can he speak? If you're an avid horror fan, you would understand that there is a huge difference between killers who speak and killers who do not. The ones who speak, they at least give you a reason. No matter how stupid it seems, you have a reason. The killers who do not speak, who will not make any noises outside grunts and heavy breaths, are a whole different breed of scary. You simply do not know why they are after our main protagonist. This is exactly what makes Pyramid Head so menacing. Throughout all of his appearances, we can never hear him say anything. He does not speak. We hear his heavy breaths through the iron helmet as he approaches us. His grunts and painful moans make it obvious that the helmet he wears is for the sake of causing pain. This lack of verbal communication makes his brutal acts of sexual assault and murders more harrowing to the witness. The reason behind a pyramid-shaped helmet. When Silent Hill 2 was in production, the whole creative team behind it decided that instead of borrowing one of the pre-existing monsters in the universe, this time around James would have a monster curated to his own broken psyche. As Silent Hill 2 has a lot of psychological symbolism, Masahiro Ito wanted to design a character who would hide his face, making him seem almost inhuman. That this character had to portray the pain that James's broken psyche felt because this executioner, this chaser, is a manifestation of his suppressed pain and guilt, which was brought out by the town. With that in mind, Masahiro Ito set out to design the villain, but having a mask conceal him did not quite have the effect that Ito was going for. That is why instead he chose to give the character a red triangle. In his views, Ito explained that the acute angles, the sharp edges of the triangle, are very symbolic towards the pain. Also, the mask with its sharpness almost reminds the viewers of a glorified and yet bastardized version of an executioner's mask. Being a huge World War II tank enthusiast himself, Ito intentionally put the elements of several military equipment when he designed the helmet, specifically the lower hull of the King Tiger heavy tank. One could say that by putting a geometric shape, Ito managed to make the character look extremely out of this world because despite the human body, the lack of a face, or any face-shaped structure rids Pyramid Head of any sense of humanity, which is why when we see him doing the atrocious things he does, we cannot look away. How does Pyramid Head transform into Pyramid Blight? Pyramid Head is quite the opponent to go against. He can kill James with one shot if he wants to, and if he makes the other move that he has, the horizontal swipe move, James gets quite a bit of damage. So it is usually advised that the player maintains a distance between James and Pyramid Head. But where is the fun in that? That is why when we see Pyramid Head inject himself with a serum, which turns him almost invincible, his flesh starts rotting and dripping down his body and his blade, and now we have a Pyramid Blight instead. We see that the label on the serum changes, so we can safely assume that this changes with each variant. This move was done by Dead by Daylight, making Halloween of 2021 quite special, as not only do we get Pyramid Head in this blighted state, but we also get Nemesis from Resident Evil as blighted, making these extremely dangerous villains far more dangerous. The reason behind his backward knife. The great knife is what we see Pyramid Head carry around with him for the most part of the game. This knife is enough to kill James with one hit. But there is something fascinating about this knife. It is not a knife at all. When Masahiro Ito posted pictures of the great knife and the Pyramid Head, one of the more diligent fans noticed there was something off about the knife. In a reply, Masahiro Ito cleared it out. Turns out the great knife that we see is one of the blades of the scissors. On one closer inspection, we can see that the blade really looks like one of the blades of scissors. The outer edge is sharpened, but the inner edge seems to be sharp as well. And the place where the bolt is put to hold the two blades of scissors together is 3. In the game, we see James wielding the great knife, which led to a lot of fans theorizing that perhaps this scissor blade being the great knife is a subtle sign that Pyramid Head is not just a monster created by James himself, thanks to the powers of the town, but a part of James as a whole. Silent Hill 2 makes it clear that James and Pyramid Head are closely related, but this revelation about the blades makes it clear that their connection perhaps runs deeper than Ito initially let on. What is his ultimate goal? Pyramid Head is a relentless antagonist who just would not let James catch a break. This makes you wonder what his goal really is. On the surface, it really seems that the lumbering executioner has only one goal, that is, to punish James for all the sins he has committed. We see it being portrayed when James is forced to watch Maria die. Maria looks exactly like Mary, and as Mary's death has affected James a lot, meeting Maria soothed that grief to a certain degree, which was immediately snatched away from James when Pyramid Head kills her, not once but twice. The first time we see her being killed as James tries to pry open the doors of the lift to let her in, only to see her get killed by the closing gates. The second time we see Maria get killed is a much more brutal because two of the Pyramid Heads abuse Maria and then kill her. But if you think about it, while the Pyramid Head is indeed punishing James, somewhere he is also guiding James. By killing off Maria, Pyramid Head forces James to understand that it is time for him to let go of Mary and get on with his life. Because truly, Maria is nothing but an idealized version of Mary that James made up in his head. When James realizes that Pyramid Head only existed because James himself needed someone to punish him for his sins, we see the demise of the boogeyman because their purpose is now moot. Why did the Pyramid Head kill himself? When you've been chased by an executioner out to get you for as long as James has been, the death of these executioners would be something to rejoice, yes? But that is sadly not the case. We follow James as he goes deep into the labyrinth behind the prison. There he encounters the Pyramid Head again, but this time he does not approach James. As James moves further, he meets Maria, alive and switching back and forth between the personalities of Mary and Maria. This makes it clear to us, the viewers, that Maria truly is the idealized version of Mary and not really there. In her Mary personality, Maria tells James about the time they spent together in the Lakeview Hotel. When James reaches the Lakeview Hotel, things go down a very different route. The videotape in that room shows us the real cause of death of Mary. It was James himself who killed her. This revelation makes James realize why the executioners have been chasing him. He realizes that the executioners only chase him because he's not yet ready to let go of the guilt that he felt after murdering his wife. When he realized it, the need to punish himself came to the surface. It was no longer a suppressed emotion that needed manifestation. That is why we see the two Pyramid Heads kill off Maria and then kill themselves. The catharsis that James goes through in the last part of the story is only amplified by the death of the Pyramid Head. That is why we see him commit suicide if we get to the end. The guilt that finally comes to the surface can either consume him completely, or James learns how to let go and leave Silent Hill with his bearings. Marvelous verdict. Pyramid Head made his mark in the hearts of fans, whether it is by his brutality portrayed throughout the gameplay, his nightmare-inducing character design, or the symbolism he is associated with. He could be considered as the personification of the Freudian idea, or simply as a deconstructed executioner, but either way, he is a villain that we, along with James, are terrified of, and we love it. The hope of this character being explored in the Silent Hill 2 remastered version is something that we are definitely looking forward to. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.